You've likely heard that memory loss is a normal part of aging. But what if I told you that some of the first signs of dementia have nothing to do with forgetting names or losing your keys? What if the earliest red flags were as subtle as a change in how someone walks or how they sleep at night? Over 55 million people around the world are affected by dementia, and yet the majority missed the early warning signs. These signs don't scream for attention, they whisper. And if you don't know how to listen, it might be too late. If you're over 60 or care about someone who is, this video may be one of the most important things you'll watch today. Because catching dementia early doesn't just change outcomes, it preserves independence, dignity, and years of meaningful life. Stay with me for the next few minutes. We're going to explore what most seniors and even doctors overlook: 10 subtle signs of dementia that often show up years before any memory loss. These are stories drawn from real elderly experiences, backed by neuroscience and senior health research. They include life lessons from the elderly, moments of elderly wisdom, and reflections from seniors who've been there. Let's uncover the truth before it's too late. If you find this information meaningful or eye-opening, please click the like button and subscribe for more videos on senior health, motivation, and inspiration. We share powerful stories, quotes, and reflections that offer true value from elderly lives. Let's begin with the first part, because before the mind fades, the body often speaks first. In 2024, James Patterson, a 69-year-old retired school principal from Ohio, started noticing that he was dragging his feet more often. He laughed it off at first, blaming it on old man knees. But over time, something felt off. He couldn't grip a spoon with the same strength. His posture slumped. James didn't know that his body was telling him something his mind hadn't yet caught up with. One of the earliest signs of cognitive decline isn't mental, it's physical. Shortened steps, leaning to one side, shuffling feet, or struggling to use everyday tools like a fork or pen can all indicate early-stage dementia. While most seniors dismiss these changes as just getting older, they can actually signal that the brain is struggling to control movement. Neurologists say that movement issues are often tied to brain regions responsible for coordination and muscle memory. These signs often show up before memory loss. As James's story continued, he found himself needing help navigating stairs. The once confident man began hesitating at doorways, unsure of his steps. His friends noticed too. "He walks like he's unsure of the ground," one of them commented. It was only later, when memory loss followed, that they connected the dots. Now let's look at how dementia quietly distorts how we perceive the world around us. Dementia can also distort the way we process visual, auditory, and olfactory information. That means someone may struggle with depth perception, tripping or misjudging steps, pouring drinks without spilling, navigating familiar environments, or losing their sense of smell or taste. These changes don't just cause inconvenience, they affect safety. Seniors may become more prone to falls, kitchen accidents, or even missing signs of gas leaks or spoiled food. One study from the University of Pennsylvania found that a loss of smell in older adults can be an early indicator of Alzheimer's disease, appearing up to 10 years before diagnosis. James also began to avoid crowded rooms and complained about loud noises that never used to bother him. Hypersensitivity to sound and mild hearing loss are also red flags. The brain starts to struggle with distinguishing voices from background noise, leading to social withdrawal. Now consider this: when your grip weakens, so might your cognitive health. Grip strength is closely correlated with brain function. Studies from the Journal of Gerontology show that seniors with weaker grips have a higher risk of developing dementia. Why? Because loss of strength can discourage physical activity, which is crucial to brain health. Movement increases oxygen and blood flow to the brain, supports neurogenesis, and even triggers the release of memory-enhancing chemicals. James could no longer open jars or carry groceries by himself. His family thought he was just aging, but in reality, his declining grip was mirroring changes happening in his neural pathways. Next, let's talk about something many seniors quietly struggle with: disturbed sleep. "I just don't sleep like I used to," James told his doctor. But his problem wasn't just insomnia. He began experiencing vivid dreams, occasional movement during sleep, and frequent awakenings. Disturbances in REM sleep, especially nightmares, sleep talking, or restless limb movements, are strongly linked to early neurological decline. A condition called REM sleep behavior disorder, RBD, is one of the earliest predictors of Lewy body dementia. When the brain is unable to regulate sleep cycles properly, it can no longer detox during the night, and that builds up amyloid plaques, one of the biological hallmarks of Alzheimer's. These sleep problems aren't just symptoms. They may cause faster decline. If you or someone you love starts sleeping too much during the day, acting out dreams, or feeling exhausted after a full night's rest, don't ignore it. Finally, in this part, we address one of the most heartbreaking but silent shifts: the loss of emotional drive. One of the most overlooked yet heartbreaking signs of dementia is the loss of emotional drive. James, once the life of the party and a church volunteer, slowly stopped attending gatherings. He turned down phone calls. He stopped gardening, even though it was once his favorite weekend ritual. His daughter Emily said it wasn't sadness, it was nothing. Like he just didn't care anymore. This isn't laziness or just getting tired with age. This is apathy, a clinical symptom tied to deterioration in parts of the brain that regulate emotion, reward, and behavior. Dementia often steals joy before it steals memory. It's why senior motivation matters. Finding small, manageable activities that spark joy can help delay decline. Music, pets, nature walks, and meaningful social interactions have all shown positive effects. And it's in these early stages that families have the power to intervene. Imagine if James had been screened earlier, when his posture changed or his grip weakened. Could his future have shifted? Maybe not completely, but it could have given him more time. Time to plan, time to connect, time to be James. It's not just about symptoms. It's about stories, choices, and quality of life. That's the true power of elderly reflections and elderly wisdom. They remind us that aging isn't the problem, it's the silence that surrounds it. What's coming next may surprise you, because the mind starts slipping not only in memory, but in language, judgment, and connection. In the next part, we'll explore the language breakdown, repetitive behaviors, emotional volatility, and the heartbreaking loss of decision-making that comes next. You'll meet new faces, like Margaret. These are the stories the world needs to hear. They are not just symptoms, they are signals, cries for attention from the brain. Don't miss it. Margaret was always sharp, a 71-year-old retired librarian from Vermont with a love for crossword puzzles and Jeopardy. But lately, her sentences trailed off. She'd forget common words mid-sentence, sometimes replacing them with unrelated ones. Instead of refrigerator, she said television. Instead of glasses, she said windows. Her family laughed at first, but Margaret wasn't laughing. She felt trapped in her own silence. This brings us to one of the most well-known and yet misunderstood signs of dementia: changes in language. Aphasia, the clinical term, is more than just senior moments. It's the brain struggling to find pathways to common words. People might pause often, use vague terms like thing or stuff, or even avoid conversations altogether. Others repeat themselves unconsciously. According to the Alzheimer's Association, language difficulties can appear 5-10 years before a formal diagnosis. Margaret's daughter noticed her mother avoiding phone calls. She said it's because she can't find the words fast enough, she told us. In social settings, Margaret smiled more and spoke less, fearful of saying something wrong. It's heartbreaking, especially for those who once thrived on communication. Seniors like Margaret, who built lives on intellect and dialogue, begin to feel isolated, as if their voices are fading even before memory does. And language isn't the only thing on the decline. Patterns begin to repeat, not just in speech, but in daily behavior. Repetitive questioning is one of the most frustrating and telling signs. A senior may ask the same question minutes apart, completely unaware they already asked. When's lunch? Where are my keys? Is it Saturday? You answer patiently the first few times. But over time, the repetition wears on caregivers. This isn't forgetfulness. It's short-term memory disintegration. The hippocampus, the brain's memory processor, is damaged early in Alzheimer's. And what's tragic is that the person repeating doesn't realize it. Margaret once asked her neighbor when the trash pickup was 6 times in under an hour. She wasn't trying to be annoying, her brain just couldn't retain the answer. These moments start to shape daily life, making routine tasks feel like an endless cycle of deja vu. Now let's look at how emotional patterns shift, sometimes dramatically. Margaret's friends used to call her the sunshine of book club, but lately she snapped at the simplest things. She grew anxious when plans changed, panicked when the doorbell rang, and doubted longtime friends. Mood and personality changes are major red flags. Why? Because dementia affects the frontal lobe, the region of the brain responsible for emotional regulation and judgment. A cheerful person may become irritable. A confident person may grow paranoid. Some develop depression, while others show apathy. A spouse might accuse their partner of stealing or hiding things, when in reality the items were simply misplaced. These behaviors are painful. especially because they can feel like a betrayal of who that person was. But they are not character flaws. They are symptoms, and sadly, these changes often push people further into isolation. Friends stop calling, family members become distant, and the very support system that could help begins to crumble. That's why understanding and compassion are more essential than ever. And then come the mistakes in judgment. Some small, others life-threatening. Margaret started forgetting how to pay bills. She gave away money to strangers who called her claiming to be relatives. Once, she left the oven on and went for a walk. Decision-making becomes impaired as the brain's ability to weigh consequences erodes. Seniors may dress inappropriately for the weather, forget how to cook familiar recipes, or become targets for financial scam. According to a 2022 AARP study, nearly 20% of seniors with early cognitive decline report falling for fraudulent calls or emails. These lapses are more than inconvenient. They can be dangerous, and they erode independence. Margaret's son had to step in and take over her finances. Not out of control, but out of protection. Still, it broke Margaret's spirit. "I feel like I'm losing my right to live my own life," she told him. The hardest part? She wasn't wrong. And it's this very moment, when judgment falters, that families must walk the fine line between care and control, between love and protection. One of the cruelest losses? Time and place. Margaret once drove to the grocery store, a place she'd been 1,000 times. But halfway there, she forgot where she was going. Then she forgot how to get home. Disorientation in time and space is a classic indicator. A person may confuse day and night, forget what month it is, or feel lost in familiar environments. They may walk into a room and forget why, or worse, wander away from home altogether. The National Institute on Aging reports that over 60% of people with Alzheimer's will wander at least once, many without warning. This is why monitoring and supportive environments are crucial. Margaret's daughter began putting notes on every room, alarms on doors, and GPS on her mother's phone. But that didn't stop the fear, not metaphorically, literally. Wandering is not just dangerous, it's terrifying, and too often fatal. Knowing the signs early means being prepared, before the first time becomes the last. Let's not forget the deeply unsettling experience of hallucinations. While more common in later stages, some forms of dementia, like Lewy body dementia, present hallucinations early. People may see figures in the room, hear music that isn't playing, or believe there's someone in the house. Margaret once told her daughter that there were children crying in the closet, but there weren't. It's terrifying not just for caregivers, but for the person experiencing it. These are not imaginary games. They are neurological misfires. The brain is trying to make sense of a world that's breaking down. Some hallucinations are visual, some auditory, and some even tactile, like feeling bugs crawling on the skin. These episodes can lead to paranoia, aggression, or complete emotional breakdowns. One caregiver told us, "It's like watching someone drown in shadows you can't fight off." Managing these moments requires not only medical care, but immense patience and emotional strength. And finally, the most intimate symptom, loss of bodily control. Margaret, once so private, started having accidents. She couldn't always make it to the bathroom, or worse, she forgot where it was. Loss of bladder and bowel control is a late but powerful sign that dementia is progressing. It's often the turning point for families, the moment when at-home care becomes too difficult. But even here, dignity matters. No senior should feel shame for what their brain can no longer command. Incontinence may start subtly, a few missed signals, but eventually grows into a daily challenge. Adult diapers, hygiene care, and changes in routine become part of the new normal. For many seniors, this loss is more than physical. It's symbolic, a reminder that their independence is slipping away. But with kindness, preparation, and support, even this stage can be navigated with grace. So what do we do with all this? We recognize that these signs are not just symptoms, they're signals. Messages from a brain trying to fight. And when we spot them early, we gain time. Time to plan, time to adapt, time to give our elders the peace, support, and purpose they deserve. These signs tell us that while dementia changes many things, it doesn't erase humanity. Behind every lost word, every repeated question, every forgotten place is still a person, a life of soul, and that's what we're here to protect. We've now seen how dementia affects not just memory, but movement, sleep, emotion, and speech. But there's more to uncover, because science doesn't stop, and neither should hope. In the final part of this video, we'll explore the newest research, lifestyle changes proven to slow dementia, and real breakthroughs in treatment. And we'll close with reflections not from textbooks, but from seniors themselves. because their wisdom isn't fading, it's just waiting to be heard. Stay with us. When we hear the word dementia, we often imagine a fading memory. But what if we told you that memory is just one part of the puzzle, and that for many the biggest danger is not recognizing the subtle signs until it's too late? In parts 1 and 2, we followed Margaret toward solutions, and most importantly, toward action. Because recognizing dementia early gives us time, and with time we can fight back, not with fear, but with knowledge, lifestyle, and science. Let's begin with the power of routine physical activity. Numerous studies, including those from the National Institute on Aging, show that regular exercise improves cognition, boosts memory, and slows decline. Exercise doesn't have to be intense. Even light walks, stretching, and simple balance routines reduce the risk of falls while improving blood flow to the brain. Take William, 76, from Colorado. Diagnosed with early-stage dementia, he started walking 20 minutes every morning. Over 2 years, his symptoms plateaued. "It's not a miracle," he says, "but it gave me back my mornings and my clarity." Movement supports brain plasticity, helping your brain form new pathways even as old ones fade. In one 2020 study published in Neurology, seniors who engaged in moderate physical activity at least 3 times a week showed a 30% slower rate of hippocampal shrinkage, a key area affected in Alzheimer's. Now let's talk about the role of sleep. Sleep is not just rest, it's repair. During deep sleep, the brain flushes toxins linked to Alzheimer's, including beta-amyloid plaques. But insomnia, fragmented rest, or sleep apnea can disrupt this process. Seniors often experience sleep changes, but chronic poor sleep accelerate decline. Margaret, whom we met earlier, had vivid dreams and frequent night wakings. After a sleep study, she was diagnosed with REM sleep behavior disorder, often a precursor to Lewy body dementia. After treatment with melatonin and improved sleep hygiene, her symptoms improved. Research from the University of California, Berkeley, shows that individuals over 65 who consistently get less than 6 hours of sleep a night experience significantly higher beta-amyloid buildup than those with better sleep habits. So for seniors watching this, prioritize 7-9 hours of consistent quality sleep. No screens before bed, gentle wind-down routines, and see a doctor if snoring, vivid dreams, or restlessness persist. Next, we look at the mind diet and brain nutrition. A senior's diet impacts not just heart health but mental longevity. The mind diet, a fusion of the Mediterranean and DASH diets, emphasizes leafy greens, berries, nuts, olive oil, whole grains, fish, and lean poultry. It reduces inflammation and oxidative stress, both key drivers in cognitive aging. In a 2021 study from Rush University, seniors who followed the mind diet closely had a 53% reduced risk of Alzheimer's. Margaret's daughter began cooking with turmeric, berries, and fatty fish. Over 6 months, Margaret's mood stabilized and her mental fog lessened. Nutrition won't reverse dementia, but it arms the brain with defenses. And perhaps more importantly, it gives caregivers something to do, a way to help. Consider adding brain-friendly snacks like walnuts, blueberries, and green tea into daily routines. Even hydration plays a role. Dehydration in seniors often presents as confusion and memory fog. Lifelong learning and mental stimulation are powerful tools. Brain plasticity continues into our 70s, 80s, and beyond. Learning a new language, picking up piano, solving puzzles, all build cognitive reserve. The more neural pathways you have, the longer it takes for dementia to disrupt function. At 80, James from Arizona began taking online art classes. "My hands aren't what they used to be," he said, "but my curiosity still is." His neurologist reported no decline for 3 years. A 2023 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that bilingual seniors developed Alzheimer's symptoms 4.5 years later on average compared to monolingual peers. Reading, storytelling, debate, all keep the mind engaged, and this engagement delays the fog. Churches, community centers, and even libraries offer free classes that challenge the mind while fostering social ties. Equally critical is emotional and social connection. Loneliness increases dementia risk by up to 40%. According to a 2022 meta-analysis published in The Lancet, seniors who stay socially active through clubs, calls, volunteerism show slower cognitive decline. Margaret's turning point came when her neighbor began visiting for tea twice a week. It gave her something to look forward to, her daughter said. Seniors need a reason to get dressed, to speak, to laugh. Human interaction is medicine. Studies suggest that social engagement stimulates oxytocin release, which may reduce inflammation and improve mood, both critical in dementia prevention. If you're a caregiver, keep calling, keep inviting. If you're a senior, say yes to the next walk, the next conversation. Connection slows the descent, and remember, even virtual connections via video calls can make a big difference. We must also discuss chronic condition management. High blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and high cholesterol all damage blood vessels, including those in the brain. Vascular dementia often coexists with Alzheimer's. Managing these conditions with medication, diet, and lifestyle changes can dramatically reduce dementia risk. It's never too late to improve your numbers. Margaret's blood pressure 170/1. With walking, leafy greens, and medication, she brought it down. And with it, her brain fog lessened. Regular checkups, smart habits, and avoiding tobacco or excessive alcohol are non-negotiables for senior health and longevity. A 2022 analysis from the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease found that patients with well-managed type 2 diabetes had nearly 50% lower dementia rates compared to those with poor glycemic control. Let's go even further into emerging science. There's no cure yet, but researchers are racing ahead. New medications like lecanemab and donanemab target amyloid plaques and show promise in slowing progression in early-stage patients. Brain stimulation therapies, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, being explored to spark activity in dormant brain regions. A 2023 pilot study from Johns Hopkins found that targeted non-invasive stimulation improved verbal memory in patients with early cognitive impairment. Gene therapy and anti-inflammatory compounds are also in early trials. While these treatments aren't yet widely available, the landscape is shifting fast. Seniors today could benefit from tomorrow's breakthroughs, but only if we keep them engaged, stable, and supported long enough to get there. Clinical trials are expanding, and caregivers are encouraged to explore opportunities through platforms like clinical trials. And perhaps the most powerful intervention? A shift in how we value seniors. In many cultures, aging is seen as a decline, but within our elderly lies vast wisdom, stories, experience, identity. What if we saw every elderly reflection not as a shadow of who they were, but as a light for who we can still become? Margaret's story is not unique, nor is it finished. With the right care, she now paints again, she laughs again. She remembers fewer details but more emotions. And that's enough. Her granddaughter, age 12, now sits with her every weekend, sketching side by side. She's not who she was, her daughter said, but she's still here, and she's still teaching us how to live. To all seniors watching, you matter, your wisdom still teaches, your presence still inspires. Don't let a diagnosis define your dignity. And to caregivers, you are the bridge between fear and hope. Between fading and remembering, this isn't just a battle against decline, it's a commitment to presence, to choosing connection, to protecting the meaning within every moment. Let's walk this road with eyes open, not in fear but in strength. Let's be proactive. Let's be informed. Let's protect the memories yet to be made. Because behind every warning sign, there's still a story, and every story deserves to be heard. This has been the final part of our series, 10 Subtle Warnings of Dementia. Most seniors overlook these signs. Before you go, take a moment to reflect. Which of these signs resonated with you the most? And more importantly, where are you watching this from today? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to see our senior wisdom community from all around the world. If this video touched you, please hit the like button. It helps others find this important message. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring insights, senior health advice, and emotional life lessons from the elderly. We're here every week walking this journey together. Thank you for staying, for caring, for remembering.